Hello and welcome to this little video. In this one, this was a question from one of my students. Here we have a photograph and a drawing of Wolfgang Weingart by one of my students, Sky, a first-year graphic design student. It's a lovely illustration. The students were introduced to some very basic vector drawing in Illustrator. And then this week we were following it up doing some Risograph color separations. And this piece here would work really excellent for this. So this video is just to show you how you would convert something from being in a CMYK space that we have here and converting it for a Risograph output. So we're going to take the drawing, import the swatches from our printing service that we have is called Dropout Press. They are located on the first floor in the Communication Design Department in the NCAD campus on Thomas Street. So if you're looking for those, and I can pop a link to their Instagram in the description for this. Anyway, so here I have my workspace just set up for essentials. I'm going to open my swatches panel so that I can bring in the swatch library that I have shared with you guys. So I'm just going to move this over a little bit, go up to the hamburger menu, and then open swatch library, other library, and then I will search this out on my computer, and then I have the swatches as I've set them up. This here will bring you and open you out the six base colors that they have. And then what I have done to make your lives a little bit easier is that I have mixed up the tinting values so that you can easily swap these around. So at the moment, when you're setting things up for Risograph and for color separations, you need a couple of different panels open. One of these will be the transparency. I'm going to use this to change whether we're doing a knockout print or an overprint effect. And then we'll also need the separations preview. This will allow us to really quickly see if we have applied our swatches correctly. So at the moment, you can see here in our overprint preview separation panel that we have only CMYK swatches in our document. So if I click on this, this will allow me to turn on and off the different inks and pigments that would be used to make this up. So you can see if we turn off the yellow, there's a little bit of blue helping to describe these, or possibly a little bit of black. Yeah, it's blue, some cyan, and the same way we can start turning these off until we have nothing on or all of them on. So we're going to swap these around so that these are all in the Risograph inks. Now, the important thing to think about when you're setting your document up for Risograph is that the printer that we have uses two drums, meaning we can quite accurately print two colors at the one time so that we don't have any problems of misregistration with those. So in this case, I would set it up so that we'll print the magenta or the fluoro pink and the yellow together, and then I would do the blue as a separate run for this, so that the registration of where we're going to make this red for the nose and for the lips and so on, that's really spot on. But if the outline of the silhouette moves and shifts by 1 millimeter or 2 left or right, it's not going to be a really big problem. And you'll understand what I mean by that when I duplicate and copy some of these layers and other pieces for this. Okay, so what I'll do now is I will select each of the different elements and start applying some of those Risograph swatches for these. So I'm going to swap over to the stroke color because this vector line here just has a stroke on it. I'm going to click on the swatch folder. This will add this to my regular swatches panel. And now I can apply that Risograph, the Federal Blue for this. So you can see now in my separations preview, because I've added this, I have these other inks that are available here. So if I turn on my separations preview now and turn off my CMYK, you can see that I do indeed have a Risograph pigment applied. So I'm going to do the same with this one. I'm going to select it and apply the Riso Yellow. So I'll just make sure to apply that both to the stroke and to the fill color. And then zoom in a little bit and grab those lips. So for these, you can see that they are in two different pieces. So we're probably going to need to separate these and duplicate it so that we have one version where we can apply the fluoro pink on it as a stroke, and then a second version where we'll just apply the yellow on it as well as a yellow stroke. So we'll take that and apply the fluoro yellow, the Riso Yellow, and then the same with the stroke on it. And now we have this as one piece. I'm going to go copy and then edit, paste in place to paste it into the same spot. And then we're going to apply no fill on this one, go for the stroke value, and then change that to the fluoro pink. And then take the piece here for the separation for the lips, and again, make sure the stroke color is in the front, and then apply the fluoro pink to that. So at the moment, that's looking very pink, meaning if I have a look at this through my overprint preview and just turn off that fluoro pink, we're going to see a gap in these. So you can see when I hover over that stroke value for the outside of the lips, you're seeing a white gap, because at the moment that is set to a knockout print. So if I turn that back on and just turn back off my separations preview, I'm going to select those two components. So I'll just move it, and so you can see that I'm only selecting the fluoro pink elements. And up in my transparency panel, I'm going to change that from normal into multiply, which will mean that I'm going to print a solid block of the yellow pigment underneath and then overlay the fluoro pink on top of it. And the combination between those two makes a really quite vibrant red tone. So we're going to use that to make these here as well. So same thing. I have my piece here. I'm going to select it, make sure my stroke is in the front, select that and change it. In this case, I'll change it to the fluoro yellow first because I want that underneath. Select it, edit, copy, edit, paste in place, and then swap that to the fluoro pink. So I have, again, those two pieces on top of each other. And this is, again, where you're thinking about those two drums that are in the printer and which colors you're printing first together. So I'm going to change this from just a normal blending transparency mode into a multiply, and that will then combine to form that lovely red color. So I'm going to zoom out and now go into my overprint preview, turn off my CMYK, which will make the image, the reference image, disappear. But now we can see that we don't have any cyan, magenta, or yellow regular process colors that are using to make this, but instead we have our Riso Federal Blue, a fluoro pink, and our Riso Yellow underneath for these. And then that's going to, give us a really, really cool object. There is a tiny little bit of knockout happening here. So rather than having this accidentally knock this out, let's set this one to multiply, and the same with this one to multiply, so that we'll get a combination of those colors. So that we'll get a little bit of outlining here and here, which will, I think, frame it a little bit better. And once we've done that, save our file. Now to export this as a PDF that would be suitable for the Risograph. I know this image is here, and perhaps it would be better to set up another artboard for this, but I'm just going to show you how you would print this using the PDF settings to give you your color separations correctly for this. So I'm going to, why don't I get rid of the image and just have this set up as a very simple Risograph document. So I'm just going to select all of this, going to move it over, and let's actually make a copy of all of this. So hold the Alt or Option key as you're clicking and dragging, and let's set up a simple 2-up for this. Select all this, hold the Shift key while you're clicking and dragging. The Risograph can't do full bleed, so it can do close to 10 millimeters from the edge. Perhaps we could do a little miniature version on this side, so kind of a 2-on-1, something like this. Might be a little bit better use of the space. Okay. So now we have our document set up as we want it in thinking about for print. So let's use the Adobe Print to PDF to make our color separation. So File, Print. And here it's going to ask us a whole bunch of different questions about how we're setting up our document and so on. So let's change our media size to A3, which will match the setup for this document. Leave auto rotate checked so that it automatically rotates around. Otherwise, we might have some issues with, as you've seen there, horizontal to vertical clipping or portrait to landscape and so on. Onto the output setting, we want to, instead of output this as a composite PDF, we're going to output this as separations. And we're going to use the computer here is going to do the separations for us. So it's going to separate it into each of the different inks that we have used. So here you can see we have our Riso inks. It's still showing some of the processed cyan and magenta. Might need to track that down, but we can deactivate them so that they won't be outputted here. But we'll hit print. And now it's going to ask us where to save it. I'm just going to pop it onto my desktop at the moment and have it build the PDF. So when this opens out, we'll get a black and white or grayscale PDF. These are showing the screen values for how much of those ink tones are going to be used. So here we have our screen for Federal Blue. If I scroll on to the second page, we have our screen for Fluoro Pink. And then page 3, we have our screen for Riso Yellow. And then that is your document properly separated for risograph printing. Thank you, Sky. Lovely illustration.